I-33 male was estranged from my father for over a decade. It had been a very long time coming when I finally decided to become estranged at 20. I had already moved out when I was 17, and I had made sure to limit my contact with my father before ending all ties between us. A lot of this had to do with the decisions he made while my mom was terminally ill and after her death. This ranged from trying to sleep with mom's sister while mom was still alive, to yelling at my mom while she was sick for being so sick, to burning several family photos of us in the days after mom died. He also sold my mom's easel, which she'd had most of her life and was sentimentally valuable to not just me, but also my aunts and uncles. I was 13 at the time. My dad ended up damaging a lot of mom's stuff when he met his second wife and moved her in. To move her in, he moved my mom out. In the process, a lot of harm came to mom's things. My aunts and uncles took and stored them, and we went through them when I was 20. I was completely no contact with my dad until his death almost a year ago. Even when I was informed he had transferred a lot of money over to me and had put my name on the deed of a family vacation home he and my mom had owned prior to her death. That was the biggest chunk of everything he owned. He never told his wife, now widow. He also didn't own the house they were living in, which we had all lived in prior. It was his friend's house. I was never sure how it worked, but he never paid for it while I lived there, 3 years for me. After he died, a letter was sent to me where he told me he had given me all of that, so it was mine outright, and because he wanted to make up for his mistakes in a small way. His leaving me with so much meant there was basically nothing for his wife and other children they had, only what he had in joint accounts and no property. It was all legally binding. His widow attempted to sue for a fair share of my father's assets, but her case didn't go far because it had been handled before his passing and was 100% legally mine. I didn't go to the funeral or anything, so I was surprised to hear from her, and I still don't know where she got contact info for me, or my father for that matter. She told me I should be looking after my family, and I should want better for the children she and my father shared at least. She made it clear she expected me to want a relationship. I told her I did not, and I didn't consider her children my family because her late husband stopped being my family a long time ago. She said it wasn't fair that I could be so cold to my flesh and blood, and that they got screwed over by their father and then by me. She said I owed them something. I told her I didn't. I ended the call and blocked her, but she's reached out to me through social media, called me selfish and cruel, and said I had no morals. Am I the idiot? OP, he left you something that had nothing to do with this current widow. Not the idiot. Your father's decision was clear and legally binding. You're not responsible for making up for his past actions or supporting his current family. Exactly. Whilst her situation sucks, I don't hear anything about her trying to foster a relationship between her kids and OP while her husband was still around. And suddenly now, OP has an inheritance. She wants him to be part of their lives? Heck no. She's just trying to get at the inheritance that's rightfully OP's. The house and money are highly likely to have also belonged to his mother too. Right? Flesh and blood clearly didn't mean much when the father was alive. Why does it mean so much now that he's dead? Oh, right. Dollar signs. We all know if it had not been for the money, the stepmom would never have contacted OP. OP, your father did this all legally before his passing. Maybe he did it that way so he knew it couldn't be contested as part of the will. All is above board and is legally yours now. Legally and morally, you don't owe anyone anything. If she wants to blame anyone, then she can blame your father. Sounds like he knew what he was doing when he set this all up. If you feel like it, you could start an interest-bearing account with an amount that could be used in the future for schooling, but you're obligated to do nothing. I've been raising my preteen nephew, Jack, after both his parents died in 2019. I went from being a 34-year-old bachelor to being a single dad overnight. I don't regret it or anything, but it's required a lot of sacrifice. My brother made good money and invested in a house before he died. It's being rented at a loss because the rent is less than the mortgage and other costs, but it'll be worth a fortune when it's paid off. So I'm paying for my nephew in a house I don't live in. I also have Jack in a private school. This summer, Jack wanted to go to a sleepaway camp. It's for 6 weeks, and I can only afford 2, even though it's a 3-week minimum. He left last week. Out of the blue, the camp called me up and said that someone wanted to sponsor Jack for the whole summer. I was confused. They said a pair of angels heard of my hardship and wanted to help. I said I wouldn't even consider it unless they told me who was paying for it. Eventually, they said it was the parents of a boy who was an acquaintance of my son. They act like they're better than everyone and come from old money. I've heard them say nasty things about the people that they've helped. I contacted them and said my finances are none of their business, and I'm not their charity case. I'm not here to make them feel better about themselves. They were taken aback by my response and asked me to think of Jack. I said, your attitude proves my point. For the record, Jack has a fun summer planned out, which includes many play dates and trips with his cousins, and his other uncles taking him to Legoland in a couple of weeks. He's not working in the mines this summer. I get it. I really do. Everything you said makes sense. However, the only person who loses in this scenario is your little nephew. For that, I have to say that you kind of slightly are. That said, you're otherwise a saint for everything you're doing. Very slight, mild, soft as possible. You are the idiot. At first, I agreed with your point. The fact that Jack wouldn't be able to attend the entirety of the camp sucked. Having angel donors literally willing to pay for the rest of the camp, but saying no seemed a bit selfish. However, the fact that these angel donors negatively talk about everyone they help out is an issue. If you want to help because you can, do it, but don't help just to talk crap about people who aren't financially where you are. Kids listen to adult conversations all the time and like to repeat them. There's no need for OP to potentially put that stress on a child who lost both of his parents. Besides, he has a summer planned out, so he'll be perfectly fine. Everyone's the idiot here, but only because you demanded to know who it was and then confronted them about it. You could have declined the offer and let it go, keeping in mind who offered it to you. Now they know the camp told on them, so offers to help other kids in the future might not happen. They may have offered because Jack would be company for their son, but now that you've told them off, Jack has potentially lost a playmate, not just for camp, but in general. My 20 female, soon-to-be sister-in-law 21, has never gotten along with me. She was passive-aggressive towards me the first time we met, and over time she's become downright rude to me. I tried to be nice to her, going on shopping trips to try and bond with her, and she responded by implying that I was superficial. She said I was high maintenance and shallow because I liked putting effort into my appearance. She said that I didn't deserve to date someone like her brother and that he was too good for me. Whenever I attempted to be nice to her and patch things up between us, she said I was fake. She said I only wear makeup and stylish clothes to distract from my ugly face. She always says that she doesn't understand what her brother sees in me and that she can't wait for him to break my heart and date a woman who's actually on his level. My boyfriend has never defended me, saying that his sister is just opinionated and quirky. He's also prioritized her before me on multiple occasions. He postponed our plans to move in together because his old apartment is closer to his sister's and she'll miss him too much. He even missed out on a ceremony where I received an award because his sister had a mental breakdown. My sister-in-law's called me countless names in the past, so for the past few months, I've been calling her a rather snarky nickname whenever I'm talking about her to my friends. Word eventually got out about what I've been calling her, and she confronted me, screaming, sobbing, and crying, saying I'd crossed the line. She cried so hard she couldn't breathe and had a full-on meltdown in public. Now everyone's blowing up my phone asking about the situation. My boyfriend is furious with me. I've tried telling him that I was only responding to my sister-in-law's treatment of me, but he thinks I took it too far. I said she spent a year harassing me and making me feel like crap. I should be allowed to give her a harmless nickname. Am I the idiot? Edit. The nickname is Circe. You are the idiot to yourself, and wow. Why are you with a man who doesn't stand up for you when someone bullies you, calls you ugly, and openly wishes he'll dump you and break your heart? Sounds like an ex-boyfriend to me. He's your problem, not his bullying drama queen sister. This is what I was wondering. OP is 20 years old. Is this really the family and life that they want to be a part of forever? I would be running in the other direction. Referring to Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones is entirely justified based on sister-in-law's behavior. Oh gosh, yeah, Cersei is legitimately earned. Cersei also slept with her brother. OP needs to run away from this family. That's very funny, OP. I mean, it's not exactly harmless, but it's hilarious. You are not the idiot, except if you stay in this relationship. You don't have a sister-in-law problem, or even a sister-in-law, frankly. You have a boyfriend problem. You'll always come second. You're young. You can find better, so don't tie yourself to their craziness. I've been with my husband for 8 years now. For the first 7 years, we planned heavily because we both wanted a child, but we needed to make sure we had everything just right because I was steadfast in the fact that I would never be okay with sending our child to daycare. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and he 100% agreed. We bought the house, built the nursery, we saved every penny we could afford to save, etc. We're sitting on a very nice nest egg of just over $150K. I got pregnant in December 2022. I gave birth at the very beginning of September. It's been an absolute crap show since then. So to kick off, within the first 2 months of me giving birth and having severe PPD, he decides to make an utterly out of the blue career change. I urge him to get checked by his PCP for PPD because surely something must be wrong to make such a life-changing decision with zero warning so soon after I gave birth. He refuses, insists that he's fine, but that his career is all of a sudden too much and it's taking too much time away from bonding with the baby. It was literally a normal 40-hour work week, but he was getting angry because for the last 2 weeks of his employment, his boss had been asking that he work 4 hours every Saturday, his normal day off, but it's only 4 hours, so he quits. He gets a job elsewhere 2 days later and takes a $4.50 an hour pay cut. Okay, no big deal, except now he has to pay $160 out of each paycheck for the mandatory benefits and work fees. That doesn't include taxes. He's also been working 6 days a week versus the 5 that he was working. So he spends less time at home, but, well, they said I could probably get a manager, so I guess it's okay. He's bringing in no more than $300 a paycheck in comparison to the $600 plus paychecks he was getting. Our bills are almost $2K a month. Therefore, we had to pay out of our savings every single month, and it adds up quick. Well, here's where I may be an idiot. Bills are obviously due soon. Asked him how much money he had set aside for the bills so I could work through the numbers. He tells me that he wasn't able to save anything for the bills, and he literally had $4 in his account. This means that, come the 1st, all of the bill money will be coming out of our savings. He tells me, maybe you need to start looking for a job. My mom will probably watch the baby. I just don't say anything because I know I will explode. His mom comes here this morning and he runs it by her without even getting my approval, which would be an absolute hard no, because I'm quite certain she's early stages of dementia. And she goes, no, but I know a daycare that has openings, and proceeds to call them and tells them that we want to enroll our daughter. I speak up and say, no, I'm not putting the baby in daycare. I'm also not having her watch the baby. It's not happening, and my husband needs to figure it out. My mother-in-law then tells me that it's not fair, that I won't come up with solutions to help her son, who's clearly struggling. I snap. I tell her that it's not my job to come up with solutions for a man who failed me and our child. We had everything planned. We had the money. We figured this out and spent years figuring it out before coming to this point. Now he's going against the plan? He decided to quit his job. He refused to get help when I urged him. He didn't save any of his paychecks for bills. This is on him 100%. Before anyone could respond, I went inside. I packed an overnight bag for both me and the baby and told him I'd be going to my mother's house until he got his crap together and got his head on straight. He mostly texts me, saying he can't believe I think he's failing us. But his mother's blowing up my phone, saying that I'm a dumb idiot, that plans change. And since I'm married to her son and he's the only one working, he should have the final say in what happens from this point forward. Am I the idiot? How did you buy a house, build a nursery, and save $150,000 in 7 years when it sounds like he's never made much above minimum wage? Are there some zeros missing or added somewhere? I made above minimum wage and so did he. He still does. I worked as a pediatric nurse and I was making $48 an hour. I stopped working when I was 8 months pregnant. He's always made less than me, but he was still making good-ish money. He was making $21 an hour, and now he's making $16.50. So it's still above minimum wage, but not by much. Oh, so you saved the majority of this? Are you sure he quit his former job instead of being fired? Quitting a job because 4 hours of Saturday work and then taking a job that requires Saturday work all day just doesn't make sense, especially with that big pay cut. Mate, he makes $16.50 an hour, and his checks are $300? Ain't no way. It's going up his nose, gambling, into a mistress, or into hookers. It doesn't work out even if he's paid weekly. Assume a 40% tax load, and that's still a $400 check. OP, this whole situation raises red flags, and I can guarantee that he's hiding something from you. Girl, not the idiot. Your husband failed you in every way. Went back on his word, quit his job without warning, went crying to his rude and disrespectful, disgusting mama, and now he's upset because you told him the truth? To be honest, his mother could never enter my house, see her grandchild, or ever speak to me again if she called me the C word. It almost seems like he planned this, given the timing. I'd be done with his lazy crying butt. We had a potluck at work last week. I made this delicious brownie and cookie concoction with a caramel sauce. When I made it, my toddler was by my side and helping as much as he could. When I put the dish out at the potluck, I added a sign that my son had helped make it. I thought that was the right thing to do in case people had an issue with it. A coworker who's made it known that she does not like kids has complained to HR about my kid being around at the end of the day for 15 to 30 minutes. This coworker approached me and said that it wasn't fair that I made a dish that she wouldn't eat. I told her I just made the dish, and I wasn't concerned with who did and didn't eat it. She said that making a dish that wasn't made in a safe way and bringing it is not okay. Providing the sign was enough to allow people to make their own decisions. She called me an idiot, and I felt like she was blowing this way out of proportion. But am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You are not a food business. It was a potluck, and your coworker's just an idiot. If you want all of your food to be prepared as if the state health inspector supervised the whole thing, you shouldn't eat anything at a potluck. Not just the one dish where someone was upfront about the circumstances in which it was made. Seconding this, not the idiot. Don't let the idiots get you down. It's awesome that you included your child, and any parent would think it was cool. Heck, I wouldn't have thought to label it. Kids aren't an allergen. I have to ask, did you create this sign purposely to trigger that coworker? Because I don't understand why you would make such a sign. If the food was made safely, that was completely pointless. You are the idiot. Well, I wouldn't eat it, but I wouldn't make a fuss about it either. To be honest, I generally skip out on potlucks when I don't have a pretty good idea of the kitchen hygiene of all involved. Yeah, kids are kind of gross and tend to put their fingers in their noses and mouths and back into the food. But so do some adults. Some people leave pets on the counter and don't wash their hands prior to preparing food or after using the toilet. Potlucks are a hygiene crapshoot, regardless of whether kids are involved.